Hello hunters! Welcome back for another set of my personal essential Monster Hunter Rise mix sets. Today we're turning our gaze towards the high-flying bug stick, the Insect Glaive. First appearing in Monster Hunter 4, this marvelous mounting maven was built around the new mounting mechanic introduced in 4. So how does the high-flying weapon find its place in a game where every weapon pretty much flies high? Here I hope to share some sets that je suis monté with the best of them. Our first set is once again going to be a Silkbind boost set. The Diving Wyvern Silkbind skill boasts incredible damage, so of course we want to boost it. Pair this with a weapon boasting high raw, and we've got Je suis Silkbind, a build that decimates with Silkbind attacks. Simply that. The weapon we're going to be running is the Tyrant Rod from the Diablo's tree, and as expected we're going to be using the Silkbind boost Rampage skill grandfathered in from the Paralysis tree. For the gear, this set wears the Kaiser Crown, Azure Age Howdy, Valstrax Braces, Anjanath Coil S, Golden Hakama, and a talisman with Critical Eye 3, and deco slots being optional, but ideally we'd want at least 2 level 1 slots. As for the decorations, we'll have Steadfast on the head, Attack on the chest and arms, Expert with 2 Steadfast in the waist, Brace and Wind Res on the legs, and in the tally, if you got those 2 extra 1 slots, 2 more Wind Res decos. All in all, this gives us 7 points in Critical Eye, 4 points in Attack Boost, 3 points in Crit Boost, Weakness Exploit, Windproof, and Stun Res, with 2 in Constitution, and 1 point in Latent Power, Flinch Free, and Dragon Heart. So like the other Silkbind boost sets that I put together, the majority of your big damage is going to come from your Silkbind attacks, primarily the Diving Wyvern attack. This set is going to require that you use that switch skill to ensure that the majority of your damage comes from this big hitting attack. Diving Wyvern has an interesting mechanic to it. Damage is boosted when pulling off your in-air attacks. You can bounce and juggle up to 3 times while in the air, and if you complete all 3 and pull off the Diving Wyvern after the 3rd, you will do the maximum damage possible with this attack. Thanks to being grandfathered into the Diablo's weapon, this Rampage skill packs a wallop, and paired with your buddies running some sleep weapons, you can pull off some incredibly juicy wake-up attacks. With our next set, this is going to be one you're never going to have to sharpen, if the odds are in your favor. The Eversharp Glaive leverages 2 skills, Master's Touch and Razor Sharp, to work in tandem so you never have to sharpen. Is it a bit overkill? Most likely, but then again that's what these sets are made for. It's meant to play around with skills for interesting gameplay. And what's more interesting than never having to use a whetstone? Our weapon comes from the Nargacuga tree, the Evening Calm. Our gear is the Golden Headdress and Golden Hakama on the head and legs, Azure Age Howdy on the chest, the Valstrax Braces with the Anjanath Coil S. For the talisman, you're going to want a Razor Sharp 2 talisman with at least a level 2 deco slot on it, and if possible, 2 level 1s. For the decorations, we have 3 Mastery decos in the weapon, head, and chest, a Brace deco in the head, 2 Attack on the arms and waist, 3 Wind Res on the waist and legs, 3 Steadfast on the legs and talisman, and a Razor deco also in the talisman. For skills, we get 4 points in Attack Boost, 3 points in Master's Touch, Weakness Exploit, Razor Sharp, Windproof, and Stun Res, 2 points in Critical Boost, Heroics and Constitution, and 1 point in Latent Power, Maximum Might, Flinch Free, and Dragon Heart. As I stated before, this is a set you'll never have to sharpen. We're leveraging the power behind the weapon's affinity and the Master's Touch and Razor Sharp skills working in tandem. Master's Touch received a bit of a change in Rise, giving you an 80% chance not to lose sharpness on a critical hit. Coupled with Razor Sharp, which prevents weapons from losing sharpness 50% of the time, if Master's Touch doesn't proc, then you have a really high chance for Razor Sharp to proc instead. At base affinity, we're going to get 90% when you're hitting a weak spot, 100% when either Maximum Might or Latent Power procs. But this game has so many different ways to boost your affinity, even when going solo. My personal favorite is having a Palico running Rousing Roar, which pushes the affinity well over 100% on weak spots. With Latent Power and Maximum Might, plus the 40% affinity on the weapon, Take Rousing Roar and you'll get 90% affinity even when you're not attacking a weak spot. Is it overkill? Possibly, but a reliable way to keep that white sharpness modifier is well worth it. Our final set this episode takes high attack with a blast element to decimate your marks with both raw damage and explosions, plus a healthy dose of blue sharpness. The stick of Dynamite boasts strong attack and a decent amount of crit. The main damage here is going to come from raw damage, plus a sporadic procs of blast blight. Our weapon is going to come from the flagship Magnum Malo, the Sinister Shadow Staff. Our gear is the Skull Visage S on the head, the Golden Haori, Kote, and Hakama from Rajang on the chest, arms, and legs, and the Anjanath Coil S on the waist. Our talisman has to be at least latent power 3. Slots are optional, but if you can bring latent power to 3 on the tally either with skills or with the decorations, you should be pretty good with this set. For decorations, we're going to be slotting in 5 attack decos in the weapon, head, chest, and waist. We're going to put a handicraft and brace on the arms, 3 steadfast on the waist and legs, and if you have 2 level 1 slots in the tally like I did, we're going to put 3 grindo decos in the legs and tally. This ends up leaving you with 1 free slot to use what you want, and that's in the weapon. You can use this for whatever you want. Personally, I chose Satiated. The skills we get are Attack Boost 7, 5 points in Latent Power, 3 in Stun Res and Speed Sharpening, 2 in Crit Boost, Heroics, and 1 point in Maximum Might, Handicraft, Free Meal, Fortify, and Flinch Free. This set is going to be one of those sets where you're going to have to use creatively the endemic life around you and your skills to get you high crit. Latent Power boosts affinity to 50% when it procs, plus the added benefit of reducing stamina depletion by 50%, really useful for stam suck weapons like the Insect Glaive. Here's how I like to increase my critical chance. I bring a Palico that's running Rousing Roar, plus Latent Power, which gets me to 80% affinity. It's strong, but it can still be boosted further, and you can get to 100 if you're using the right endemic life or working with hunters like Hunting Horn mains or bow mains. Having Attack Boost 7 will boost your raw damage incredibly, making this weapon hit numbers reserved typically for harder hitting sets. Plus, Blast is always a nice little bonus. I sure as heck love seeing that additional damage proc when it goes boom. And with that, we have the Insect Glaive video in the books. You'll notice that I didn't specify what Kinsect to use, and honestly, you can run whichever one you want that fits your gameplay style. Do you want the dual color? Do you want faster Kinsects? The chain attack? Whatever you want. These sets are built around picking the Kinsect that works best for you. Personally, when I first saw the trailers for Monster Hunter Rise, I was a bit worried about how the Insect Glaive would factor into the game. But overall, I do still enjoy using this weapon. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you found these useful, and if you did, please consider liking and subscribing. You can also catch me live on Twitch, typically on Thursdays, Fridays, and Saturdays. But until next time, hunters, you stay frosty, bug catchers, and get lifted. I'll see y'all next time.